Thinking about moving to Fort Worth, Texas? In this video, we're going to cover 7 reasons you may not want to move to Fort Worth. I'm Keela McGraw, your favorite Fort Worth realtor, and moving to a new city can be very daunting. There's a lot to consider. And what I've found is that people who are considering moving to Fort Worth only hear about the good things. But I think it's important for people who are considering moving to Fort Worth to not only consider the good things, but also know about the not so good things going on in the city. So let's dive into the 7 reasons you may not want to move to Fort Worth. And let me know if any of these reasons surprise you. I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. So let's start with the most obvious reason you may not want to move to Fort Worth, and that is the weather. On average, the temperature in the summer is about 96 degrees, and we get about 20 days or more of 100+ degree temperatures. And the bad news is that experts are predicting that we will see more of these extreme heat days in Fort Worth. One of the negative things resulting from the extreme temperatures that we're experiencing here in Fort Worth is that there are more heat-related illnesses going on. So from 2021 to 2022, there was a 115% increase in the number of heat-related illnesses. We are also seeing longer stretches in the summer where there is no rain. And with less rain in our future, that leads to water conservation. And the crazy thing is that a lot of people don't follow the water conservation laws and rules. So that is something that you need to be aware of before you consider moving to Fort Worth, is that because of the extreme temperatures and not just the heat, but also the cold, it is causing some additional hardships with our resources. And also related to climate and weather, we're also on the south end of what's considered Tornado Alley. So we do get your occasional tornadoes, but we also see high winds, hailstorms, things like that can cause damage to your roof, which in turn causes you to get your roof replaced more than you would normally see in other parts of the country. Another reason you may not want to move to Fort Worth is due to crime. Some parts of the city may be impacted by crime more than other parts of the city. According to Neighborhood Scout, Fort Worth's crime index is 12. That is on a scale of 100, with 100 being the safest. So Fort Worth does not rank very well when it comes to crime. So do your homework when it comes to finding that neighborhood that's going to work well for you and your lifestyle, and definitely look at different statistics when it comes to crime. So another reason you may not want to move to Fort Worth is because of the population increase that we're experiencing. So according to a recent U.S. Census Bureau study, Fort Worth is the 3rd fastest growing city, with an increase in population of 12,916 people between 2020 and 2021. And Fort Worth's current population is about 935,000 people. So you may not want to move to a city like Fort Worth that is growing so rapidly. And this could actually hurt the infrastructure of Fort Worth, especially if jobs aren't able to keep up with the growth. And a recent expert said that could very well be the case. So with an increased population, we're looking at more drivers on the road, which leads to more traffic. And that's the other point that I want to bring up when considering moving to Fort Worth, Texas, is the traffic. Traffic has increased over the years because of the population growth in Fort Worth. One of my least favorite interstates is Interstate 35, and I don't care if you travel north on 35 from downtown or south on 35 from downtown Fort Worth, you're going to be hit with traffic or toll roads. And there are other ways to get around in Fort Worth. You have Interstate 20, as well as Highway 183, 121, as well as Chisholm Trail Parkway, which is also a toll road. So there are different routes that you can take, but just know that the traffic has increased over the years. The 5th reason you may not want to move to Fort Worth is because of the schools. Fort Worth Independent School District received a C rating from the Texas Education Agency. And of course, that is not the best rating that you would want for a school district. According to the Texas Tribune, 70.6% of students were considered at risk of dropping out of school in Fort Worth ISD. Historically, Fort Worth ISD schools have performed lower or below surrounding districts in the suburbs. So that is another downfall of living in Fort Worth. There are some alternative school options in Fort Worth. There are charter schools as well as private schools. Many individuals who have kids who are school age do consider those options. Another reason you may not want to move to Fort Worth is due to electricity problems. Over the past few years, there have been instances of extreme heat as well as extreme cold conditions that have impacted our electricity grid. ERCOT has been in the news for failing Texas residents when millions were without electricity during record-breaking freezing temperatures. And with Fort Worth's rapid population growth, it will probably contribute more to this problem of overwhelming our electricity grid. And it's not just during the cold temperature days, it's during these high heat days that we've been experiencing here in Fort Worth that has been overwhelming the electricity grid. So that is definitely a downfall of moving to Fort Worth, but honestly, anywhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is experiencing these hardships. And our next reason for not wanting to move to Fort Worth is there are no professional sports teams. So if you love sports and you want sports teams to be in your backyard, Fort Worth is probably not the place for you. We have the Dallas Cowboys and the Texas Rangers that play games in Arlington. The Mavericks and the Dallas Stars play in Dallas. There are no professional sports teams in Fort Worth though. So in order to get to those games, you have to commute. You either drive, Uber, taxi, you can ride share. But to get to those games, you are going to have to travel outside of the city to get there. You can't take public transportation from Fort Worth to Arlington or Dallas like you could if you lived in a city like Atlanta, where the public transportation is connected to other cities or suburbs in the area. Did any of these reasons surprise you? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.